This is this week's episode of Cooking with Carrie, and we have Brooke McLean as our guest today. And we're going to do some Father's Day cooking. We've got a couple different recipes we're doing today. Brooke, you have a bean recipe you're sharing with us?
I do. It's a recipe I pulled up from a Dear Abby column not too long ago, and it's called St. James Baked Beans. And it's one of my new favorites. I think you're going to absolutely love them.
Excellent. And then we're going to do an oven roasted pork rib and a classic wedge salad to round out our dinner.
That sounds yummy.
Okay, so we're going to get started on the beans, and I'm going to let you take point on this.
Okay, well that sounds good. So the recipe, and we can post this up, or if you need information, you can get in touch with someone, either Carrie or myself, and we can pass it on. It's again, it's a Dear Abby recipe. It's no family secret or anything like that. So it has a few different ingredients. It has bacon, it has onion, it has baked beans, lima beans, and kidney beans included in with it, and then some cheese, ketchup, some Worcestershire sauce, which I never say that the right way. And then you throw it in the oven. It takes about an hour and a half to cook. And it comes out and it's cheesy and it's sweet, and the beans just give a lot of different flavors to it. So it's one of my new favorites again, and I look forward to cooking it with you here today.
I'm excited to try it. All right.
So she's going to take the hard part. She's actually going to cut the onions, and I'm going to cut the bacon, which is the easy piece.
Okay, and these are just diced. Yep, chopped. Okay.
Yep. And there's 6 pieces of bacon, and I think there's a quarter cup of onions that gets in that. And then you saute those together.
Okay.
Which is really pretty easy. It always makes the kitchen smell wonderful when you're...
Oh, bacon and onions is like my favorite.
Yes.
Should be a Scentsy scent.
It should. So I was thinking about cooking shows, and one of the first cooking shows I remember was a show from, I'm going to date myself here a little bit, from the 1960s and early 70s called the Galloping Gourmet. I don't know if you remember that show.
I do remember that show.
A gentleman by the name of Graham Kerr used to host on that, and he would cook, and then he'd pull somebody randomly from the audience and come in, and they would sit down and eat whatever his wonderful treats were. It's funny how you remember things from your youth. You're not exactly sure why, but that's what I was thinking about earlier today.
Yeah, it was a couple minutes before Food Network and, the 24/7 cooking shows we can get to now.
I know.
And all the resources we have online.
I know.
All right.
We're going to do our best not to cut ourselves with these great big knives. I did work for many years in kitchens before I joined the Air Force, and
You've done this before.
I have done this before, and I normally have Band-Aids that are involved with my cooking. So I'm going to be very careful and try to not have Band-Aids involved this time around.
We're going to do just medium-high heat for the bacon.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Both of these in here.
Yep. Onions and 6 slices of bacon, and then you stir it up. And you saute it long enough until the onions soften up and the bacons get just a little bit crispy, light brown.
Perfect. And we'll get that going. Let that render down a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to show you a trick on ribs. Let me take the rest of that bacon out of your way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yep. Now, the trick to cooking ribs and having them fall off the bone tender is to remove this membrane on the ribs. I'm going to show you the quickest and easiest way to do that. And I'm going to throw a pair of gloves on just so I can get rib slime on me. That's a technical term.
That is. So do you normally bake these, or if...
I oven roast these.
Oven roast?
Mm-hmm. Ironically, they're the same temperature and the same time as your bean recipe.
Oh, okay.
So your bean recipe is 325 for an hour and a half.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's exactly what we do for the oven roasted ribs.
Wow.
And this is the same recipe that we're serving on Father's Day, ironically, here at the Village for our Father's Day meal.
That sounds wonderful. Let me take that for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the membrane on the back here, and it's real tough to get good fall apart tender ribs. You want to take that off before you cook it. Easiest way, you need something to grab it with, paper towel. You just take a butter knife, and you're going to slide the butter knife up under the bone, between the bone and the membrane, and just loosen it up a little bit. And then you're going to take your paper towel, and you're going to grab onto it, and you're just going to give it a good tear. And this is a St. Louis style rib. Bought it with you in mind.
Uh-huh. Go Mizzou.
There you go. You can use baby backs or St. Louis style for this recipe. They both cook up about the same time. A lot of times you can get St. Louis style a little more economically. Right, these days it's hard to find anything economically. We're hoping that changes pretty quick. And you just give it a good pull. And in a perfect world, your membrane comes right off, but it's not a perfect world always. And it just peels right off. Alrighty.
And I have seen that trick before, and the best way to do that, as she showed you right there, is to make sure that you use a paper towel. That helps you grab the otherwise very slick membrane.
It's almost hopeless otherwise.
Yes.
Alright. Now we're going to get the rest of it. There you go. Alright, so our ribs are going to be ready.
Wonderful.
Take that right out of your way.
And I'll go stir back here.
Perfect. Thank you. Give my hands a quick rinse here. While you've got that cooking, I'm going to get us a big sheet of foil. And this is going to be what we cook our ribs on. And with the ribs, I slather them with just a plain yellow mustard.
They call that a binder, right?
And it's a binder for our dry rubs.
Right. You didn't know I knew so much about cooking, did you?
There's a reason I invited him on the show. All right. And our rubs got brown sugar, kosher salt, got some granulated garlic, granulated onion, and I'll have all the measurements for this posted as a link with the video. Dry mustard. This is chili powder. Just a touch of cayenne. You can use more or less if you want. Black pepper. And smoked paprika.
Smoked paprika, not just normal paprika.
Not just normal paprika. Gives you a little bit false sense of these may have been on the grill at some time, which you can finish these on the grill. But I typically finish them just in the broiler. So you want to take your foil, which is longer than your ribs themselves. And I'm going to put gloves on again because I'm going to be rubbing mustard all over these ribs. And you start with the meat side up. Just no real set amount on the mustard. Just kind of slather this all on there. And Brooke, if you want to grab in that bucket there's a whisk, and just kind of whisk these dry ingredients together for me. Thank you. And then just flip this back over. Perfect. Thank you. And then we're going to go ahead and take one mustardy glove off. Just grab a handful of the rub. And just a real nice thick coat on here, kind of on all sides. Flip it over meat side down because that's the way you're going to cook it. Get nice coverage on there. And then we're going to start to make, thank you. We're going to start to make a package. And you just want to take your foil, you want to start crimping it down. And because we're going to slow roast this at 325, we're going to need a little bit of moisture in there. So I always use apple juice. Reason being, it doesn't water it down, it doesn't take away from the rub. The apple juice gives it a little bit of flavor. But I buy these little tiny juice boxes because I don't drink apple juice on a regular basis. And to open a big bottle of apple juice for one recipe where you need about 1/4 cup, it's a little crazy. So I just buy a juice box. And then you're just going to pour about 1/4 cup in with your ribs. And then you're just going to seal it up good and tight. And
that apple juice is a good trick too. If you're grilling on a grill and you want to moisten up your meat a little bit, you can use apple juice and spritz it.
Yep.
And it'll keep it very tender and moist.
Absolutely. All right, let me get this board out of here. And let's go ahead and work on the rest of the beans real quick. And we've got the lima beans and the kidney beans, and they've been drained. And then we have your can of baked beans.
Baked beans, and that's drained also. And then you mix in the bacon and the onions together.
I've pre-measured the dark brown sugar. We've got 3/4 cup firmly packed. We've got white cheddar there.
White cheddar, and you cube this up. It's about 10 ounces. I have also used just a shredded cheddar. If you don't want to cube it up, that saves you a little bit of time, and it spreads up very evenly across the recipe that way.
And we're going to use this small Pyrex pan here, which I'm going to go ahead and butter. The easiest way to butter your pan is to take your softened butter and just a sheet of wax paper. And just give it a good smear in the pan.
Or you can cheat and use a cooking spray like I do.
Hey, I always follow the recipe. I didn't want dear Abby to come back and yell at me. This is easier on the ozone anyway.
It is, yes.
All right. All right. And to that, we've got our Worcestershire.
Yep, Worcestershire sauce.
And
some ketchup.
Pre-measured cup of ketchup.
Yep. And then we're going to mix all that together.
You're on.
I'm on. And you'll see when this comes out of the oven too, it's actually, it's very colorful because it's got the green lima beans, and then the kidney beans and the baked beans are all a little bit different colors and then a little bit different texture as well. And it's funny because that was one of those recipes. My mother used to hate lima beans, and so, you know, of course, when your mom doesn't like something, then nobody likes it.
You automatically don't like them,
exactly.
right?
So lima beans, when I first saw this recipe, I thought, I don't know about those lima beans, but we'll give it a try. And they just are wonderful. They really provide a great additional texture into the recipe itself.
I've never made baked beans with lima beans. I put black beans in mine and cannellini beans, but I don't think I've ever done the lima bean. And we're going to will this to fit in the pan.
That's right. Squish them.
And it's baked uncovered, right?
It is baked uncovered. That's correct.
Okay. All right. And like we said, it's an hour and a half, which is the same time as our ribs.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and pop these in our preheated 325-degree oven, and we will be back. All right, we're back. It's been about an hour and a half, and we're ready to check out our ribs and our beans. So let's pull these beans out of here. Ooh, those look delicious.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you mean about the beautiful colors.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty. And then let's take out our packet of ribs here. Oh, they smell good too. All right. And go ahead and pop these open. I don't know if you can see that, Scarlett, but they're pretty much falling off the bone. And I'm going to pop this packet completely open. We're going to glaze them, and then we're going to stick them in the broiler for just a minute.
Those look fantastic for only cooking for an hour and a half, too.
Hour and a half, and they're just falling apart. So for our glaze, I just use a store-bought barbecue sauce. Sweet Baby Ray's is my favorite. I'm not endorsing them or anything. And honey. I like to use a nice raw organic honey, something local. Support our local bee farmers. And we're just going to stir that up real quick.
That will be very sweet, won't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of brown sugar in the rub too. But it offsets the cayenne pepper and the black pepper and the garlic powder and everything else in there. And then we're just going to take this. Got the top oven set on broiler right now. So we're just going to brush this on here. And we just want to get a little bit of a crust on the ribs. And you can finish them on the grill at this point if you want to fire up the grill for 5 or 10 minutes, or if you have another side dish you're possibly cooking on them.
Those look fantastic.
Rinse my hand. And I never had very good luck with ribs straight from the grill. So I started doing it this way to cheat a little bit. It seems to work. So I just got that on broiled. And we're going to keep a really close eye on it because we've got honey on those ribs. And we just want to just get them starting to bubble just a little bit. If you want to keep your eye on that rope for just a second.
I will. I'll sneak over here so I can see them.
Perfect. And just to round this out and be able to tell Mom we're having our vegetables. I'm just going to grab the ingredients. We're going to make a real quick classic wedge salad to go with it. And I like a classic wedge because it's cute on a plate. Super easy. Okay. And wedge salad is simply iceberg. Whatever dressing you have. I'm using our house ranch from the cafe. And yes, the recipe will be up for that one too.
That's a secret recipe right there. She's giving away something there.
Recipe. And you can add some blue cheese crumbles to it. Not everybody likes blue cheese. I do, but I forgot to ask you if you liked it, sir.
I love it.
I shouldn't have left it back in the kitchen. So we've got a classic wedge salad. It's just a head of iceberg that we cut into however many servings we have. I've got some more bacon because this menu definitely needed more bacon.
Love bacon.
And we're just going to chop that up a little bit. It's nice and crispy.
Mm-hmm.
And got a few grape tomatoes. I'm not sure where grape tomatoes took over the popularity from cherry tomatoes. It was always cherry tomatoes.
It was. These are just a little bit more petite, aren't they?
They are.
They're definitely in favor right now.
And they never seem to have a bad season either.
Mm.
Okay. So we're just going to take a few grape tomatoes on each salad. A little bit of that bacon.
Gotta love the bacon.
And then, yep, starting to bubble.
Starting
So
to bubble a little bit.
we're in good shape. And our house homemade ranch. And probably just a little more bacon because bacon.
And it's right there waiting.
Right? All right, so our salads are good.
Beautiful.
Looks like our ribs are about happy.
They are. I'll go ahead. Pull those out.
Perfect. And go ahead and put those on a platter. Show you what they look like. And this is the part where they start to fall apart when you try to get them off the paper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to cut that. It's not gonna fit on the platter. And there's the ribs. Perfect. And let's grab a spoon and dish some of these beans out.
Oh, yeah.
These are super pretty.
Those are beautiful ribs.
Thank you. These beans are so pretty. You're right, those lima beans make those pop.
Mm-hmm.
Set that over there. And we'll go ahead and put a couple ribs on each one of these plates. Turn the oven off.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is my favorite part. I can tell already. It's the first time doing it, but I can tell this is my favorite part.
This is where Apollo usually comes running in the kitchen. He's like, "Hey, Mom, what you got?"
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty nice to have a human co-star here. All right.
So if this is the preview of Father's Day, you have something special coming your way for Father's Day.
All right. And there's a couple plates. Fork and knife for you.
Fork and knife, yes.
Okay, take the bigger one.
Oh, okay. Looks wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is fun.
This is fun.
I'm gonna try these beans.
Those ribs are fantastic. So tender. Mm-hmm.
Those are super sweet.
Yes, everything is.
Really nice.
Wow.
Well, this was fun.
This was fun. Thank you for inviting me on and feeding me food. You gotta love that.
Well, thanks for letting me be the first one to cook in Village 6.
Yes.
This was really fun. So, our next episode we'll post in a couple weeks, but thanks for being here. Thanks for eating with us, and thanks for filming us, Scarlett.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Take care.